You're at a party. Someone walks up to you, smiling. You remember their face perfectly, even what they were wearing last time. But their name? Completely gone. And now they're standing right in front of you saying, "Hey, so good to see you again." You smile and nod, quietly panicking on the inside. Sound familiar? You are not alone. Today, we're digging into the fascinating psychology behind why so many of us forget names and what it actually says about how our brains work. You can remember someone's face, their laugh, even what they do for a living, but their name just won't stick. Why? Psychologists have studied this for decades, and the answer comes down to one thing. Names are arbitrary. If I tell you someone is a doctor, your brain immediately pulls up a whole picture. Hospitals, medicine, helping people. There's a lot to connect to. But if I tell you their name is James, what does that give your brain? Nothing. James doesn't tell you what he looks like, what he does, or anything about his personality. It's just a random label attached to a person. This is why faces are easier to remember than names. Faces come loaded with visual cues your brain can see. But a name, you hear it once, for about 2 seconds in the middle of a noisy introduction, and your brain has nothing to hang it on. For a name to move from short-term to long-term memory, it needs either repetition or strong associations, and most of the time, we don't do either during a quick introduction. There's a brilliant experiment in psychology that perfectly explains this, the Baker-Baker paradox, discovered by neuropsychologist Gillian Cohen. A researcher shows 2 groups the same photo of a man's face. The first group is told, "This man's last name is Baker." The second group is told, "This man's job is a baker. He bakes bread." A few days later, both groups are shown the photo and asked to recall the word they were given. The second group, told his job, remembered it far more easily. The first group, told his name, struggled. Same word, same face, completely different results. When you hear baker as a job, your brain fires up a whole network. Bread, flour, the smell of pastries, early mornings. The word gets connected to things you already know. But when baker is just a name, it floats alone with no hooks to grab onto. And when that single thread breaks, the name disappears completely. This is exactly why we remember someone's job, hometown, or hobby, but forget their name 5 minutes after meeting them. What it says about your personality. Here's where it gets really interesting. Forgetting names can actually reveal things about your personality. Big picture thinkers focus on ideas, concepts, and the overall conversation, zooming right past small details like names. When you meet someone, you're more interested in what they say than the label they go by. An anxious mind has a different problem. When your brain is busy managing social anxiety, am I saying the right things? What should I say next? It doesn't have the bandwidth to also record a name. Your mental energy is completely taken up by internal chatter. Deep conversationalists are so focused on genuinely connecting, reading energy, responding emotionally, being present, that the name gets skipped over entirely. This isn't rudeness, it's actually a sign of empathy. Highly visual thinkers remember what they see far better than what they hear. Since names are heard rather than seen, they don't stick in a visually wired brain. Faces, expressions, and body language, no problem. Spoken words in a noisy room, gone. Easily overstimulated people struggle in busy environments, networking events, parties, conferences, where there's simply too much sensory input. When your brain is already processing noise, light, and conversation from every direction, a name spoken once gets completely lost. One of the most interesting things about forgetting names is that it feels like it's a bigger deal than it actually is. Research found that people are much more aware of their own name forgetting than other memory failures. Forget your keys, you blame being busy. Forget a name, you feel rude and ashamed. This is partly due to the spotlight effect, the feeling that everyone noticed your mistake and is judging you for it. In reality, most people are too focused on their own experience to even notice. Here's something comforting. Studies show that about half of college students have been called the wrong name by someone they know well, often a parent or close family member. Even the people who love you most mix up your name. It really is that universal. So what can you actually do? Consciously decide to hear the name. During introductions, we're often so distracted by handshakes and first impressions that the name floats past us entirely. Make a deliberate effort. I am going to hear this name. Repeat it immediately. The moment you hear someone's name, use it. Nice to meet you, Sarah. This forces your brain to process it instead of letting it vanish. Create an association. Link the name to something visual or meaningful. Meet someone named Rose? Picture a rose. The more vivid the image, the better it sticks. This is the Baker trick working in your favor. Review it later. After meeting someone, take 30 seconds to think about them. Their name, their face, one thing they said. This simple mental replay can dramatically improve recall. So the next time you blank on someone's name, remember this. It doesn't mean you're rude or careless. It means your brain is doing exactly what human brains do. Names are hard by design. They carry no meaning on their own. The people who forget names fastest are often the deepest thinkers, the most empathetic listeners, and the most visually oriented minds. That's not a flaw. That's just how they're wired. With a little practice, you can absolutely get better at it, because remembering someone's name is one of the simplest ways to make them feel seen, and that's worth the effort. If this video helped you understand yourself a little bit better, share it with someone who always forgets your name and subscribe. See you in the next one.